Hello everyone, this is part 22 of What If Naruto Failed and Chose a Different Path, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Neji and Hinata were in their clan's coveted gentle fist technique, each one measuring the other with their form. Their bloodline limits, that was the Byakugan, now showing for everyone on either side of the balcony to see. Tell me, Hinata, is the spoiled little main family member the Hyuga clan afraid? Are you afraid perhaps of the big bad cousin in the branch family? You should be afraid, Hinata, as fate has determined that I will be the winner of this spar, as I am the stronger of us, said Neji, shifting position slightly, which Hinata matched perfectly. I admit I was perhaps once afraid of fighting you, Neji, simply because you are family and like life should be cherished. However, to prove I am strong, I will conquer my fears of failing the same family by defeating one of its members, said Hinata, showing a great deal of strength in her eyes. Talk about irony, thought Kurenai, as she tried to gauge this in a sense of each of the Genin's speed, strength, and skills in their family's gentle fist style. Slade watched with interest as well, going along the same lines as the Genjutsu mistress, knowing that Neji was clearly out for his cousin's blood. This is going to be close. I may have to restrain Naruto from King Neji should the Hyuga boy decide to systematically destroy the heiress, thought Slade, glancing at his vessel, which he saw seemed to look on calmly, believing that Hinata had potential to win. Of course Slade saw the potential like Naruto did, there was no doubt about that, but what she still lacked was the certain confident kick that was required to bring out her potential. Even though Naruto's words had given her confidence, it still may not be enough to stop Neji's apparent desire to destroy the girl. Cousin, you seem troubled. Is there something wrong? Said Kurama, moving close to Slade to speak in a near whisper. Maybe, Kurama, I'm not sure. Something is wrong about this match, and I have a feeling that Naruto may have to be restrained should things turn ugly, said Slade, knowing that Naruto's rage knew no bounds and could most likely make him put effort into holding the boy back. Kurama nodded, knowing that when it comes to family or those close to your heart, one can call upon amazing strength to make sure those who harm them are punished, in a very painful way. I'll tell Hiei. In the meantime, enjoy the match, said Kurama before walking up next to Hiei, who nodded when he got the message. Neji decided not to beat around the bush any longer than he had to and made the first move with a right palm forward towards Hinata's shoulder. Hinata countered Neji's attack with a swift dodge to the right before attacking him with her right to the ribs. Neji caught this with his eyes and moved out of the way, only to aim a left knee to Hinata's ribs that the girl knocked away with her free arm. I won't lose. I will show Naruto-kun I can be strong too. Naruto believes in my abilities and I will use that belief as my weapon to win, thought Hinata, as the fight continued with her seeing an opening and went in for the attack. Neji was slightly surprised at Hinata's increase in skill from what he had seen before of her in the past when training with her father. Before, she would always hesitate or hold back when fighting either her or Hanabi in a gentle fist spar, with the Hyuga elders watching her, eyeing her with disgust as if she represented something from their past they could never let go of. She is faster than I anticipated she would be. Nonetheless, she is still weaker than me, so I should be able to win no matter how hard she tries, thought Neji, blocking a palmed strike by Hinata and delivered a counter-attack of his own that Hinata blocked with equal grace. Nearly everyone was surprised by the girl's abilities, thought some more than others due to them never seeing two Hyuga clan members go at it before. It was truly a rare sight to behold, but all the same it did leave the question of who would win the fight. Gecko Hayat, who was watching all this as the proctor and referee for this fight, could only make assumptions at best and guesses at worst. The girl has a lot of talent to keep up with the Hyuga prodigy like this, and I can sense to some degree that Neji is starting to sweat from going this long and not defeating her. I remember hearing she was weak, but after being around that Naruto kid she seems to be a whole other person, thought Hayat, as he saw Neji going more and more on the defensive as the fight progressed. No way Hinata is winning, said Kiba with a Kamaru, giving a bark in agreement, though the dog wasn't really surprised from what he had seen and sensed of the girl when he was around her. She cannot fall. Her belief in herself and that I believe in her is a weapon that has almost no equal, said Naruto, watching with his hands crossed, watching with proud eyes as Hinata got in a mean kick to Neji's rib, knocking the branch member back several feet. That is what you think, Uzumaki-san, but you should know that no one is ever immune to unexpected surprises. Not even you, thought Neji, smirking, as he created an idea in his head that would give him the time needed to see SPLE Hinata and catch her admirer and ray of hope off guard, that it would crush them, both of them, in a single moment. Hinata didn't miss her cousin's smirk, and her mind was wondering in the back of her head just what strategy he had created that could best her in this match. Nothing he does will stop me from winning this match to get to the final round, thought Hinata before she became even more aggressive to prevent Neji from igniting his plan. However, Neji's plan was to have Hinata see the smirk on his face, making her think he was up to something so she would fight more aggressively. Picking his spot, Neji struck, catching her left hand with his right while Hinata held onto his left wrist with her right in a lock, with the Byakugan eyes on both genders blazing. You have gotten better, Hinata. That much I will grant you in your skills in our clan's gentle fist taijutsu style, but you don't seem to realize that while you have gotten better, you cannot win against me. It has already been predetermined by fate, said Neji, leading her into a false sense of security, as he got closer to springing his trap. Considering that we are both tied up like this, brother, I doubt your words have any merit in them at this point, said Hinata, trying to advance through the slot they had put each other in while Neji tried to keep her restrained. Indeed. However, I know something about our family that I know, your father knows, and even your mother knew before she said Neji, smiling slightly though mentally frowning, seeing Hinata's eyes narrow slightly, looking at him for deception, not believing his words. Our family has no secrets between each other, brother, and would not betray the other for personal gain. If we did, then it would go against everything the Hyuga clan stands for in being an honorable and noble clan, said Hinata, trying to calculate what move she should use next at just the right moment, feeling Neji's right hand holding her left hand was decreasing in strength. Really? Then what if I told you that what I'm about to say will shatter such foolish beliefs in your family and the love that commoner up there has for you, said Neji, now getting the reaction he wanted, seeing Hinata's shock appear on her eyes for a moment before narrowing dangerously. There are no such secrets. This is nothing more than a delay tactic because your right hand is weakening, said Hinata, trying to call his words as a bluff. After what I tell you and everyone in here, you are going to wish it was Hinata. Tell me you remember the day 1 year ago that Uzumaki Naruto left the village with his legal guardian. Do you remember what happened sometime before that occurred with him having seal on his end, causing him great pain? Said Neji, with his smirk growing even greater than before when he heard Hinata gasp. What? How did he learn about that? Thought Naruto, Slade, Kurenai, and the third Hokage, narrowing their eyes at this statement with a feeling that they weren't going to like this, while the others eyed Naruto suspiciously. What? Surprised. Another thing about this seal you or anyone else failed to realize, Lady Hinata, is that this special seal placed on Uzumaki Naruto was with the blood of a Hyuga family member of high rank. However, I am sure you realized by now that it was not that of your father Hyuga Hiashi or any of the clan elders. No, the seal was placed on him by none other than your own mother, that was my aunt. Hyuga Hitome, said Hyuga Neji, nearly smiling fully, as he saw Hinata's stunned face while sensing everyone else's equally if not greater stunned reactions, even if no one knew the full situation of the story. Naruto, Slade, Kurenai, and the third Hokage, who lost his pipe, carefully processed this information in their heads, not believing what they had just heard. This makes no sense. Hitome loved Naruto. Why would she do such a thing? It is just not possible that the sweet woman I remember so long ago could have done such a thing. Thought the third Hokage, looking to Naruto, finding the said boy in a state of his own with eyes that told of pain, hate, anger, betrayal, and loss. No, Hinata's mom did that to me. I remember her when I was getting beaten up by that lady in the orphanage, with her stopping the woman from continuing in her beating me. It does make sense though, seeing she was the only Hyuga other than Hinata to be near me that could do the seal. In fact, it makes even more sense since Hinata removed as it was her mother blood on the seal, not her old man's, thought Naruto, not realizing that during this moment in his thoughts that were now running through his head that he was G-sping the bars on the railing. He was so caught up in his thoughts that didn't realize that he had been squeezing the bars to the point of them making the metal bending to his might. He just came out of his thoughts just to see Neji had taken advantage of this bombshell news. The young genin had to let go of Hinata's left hand and gave to her a gentle fist-style open compressed palmed uppercut right in the jaw, knocking her back, causing Neji to go all out on her unrelenting. What is Neji doing? This is his family, for God's sake. How can he be so cruel to his own cousin? I know he hates members of the main family of his clan, but from what I understood Hinata was the gentler one of his Hyuga household, thought Tenten, looking to see Lee's shocked face as well as Neji delivered rights and left in the gentle fist style as if she represented his greatest enemy. Hinata was so in shock at Neji's words she could barely defend herself as she took blow after blow from her cousin until all she could feel was solid concrete a little over 10 feet away from Neji on her stomach. By this point, the poor girl had blood coming out of her mouth, had scratches, bruises, and possibly more than likely she had internal damage that would require immediate medical attention. I cannot give up. I will fight to the end. I will be strong just as I envisioned I would be for Naruto-kun, thought Hinata, as she now struggled to get off the ground, her injuries acting as a weight tried to stop her body from obeying this mental command. Give up, Hinata. The fact that I am even giving you this option is an act of mercy in itself, and should you not take it I will have no choice but to kill you here and now. You were fated to lose the moment you stepped foot in the ring. No matter how hard you train you cannot beat me because you are weak while I am the superior of the two of us, said Neji, slightly surprised and annoyed that Hinata was trying to stand to fight him. I will not fall here. I will fight on to the end. I never give up. That is my way of the ninja. My nindo. Hinata seeing several Nejis in her line of vision as she got into what almost looked like a drunken version of the gentle fist. For a brief moment she looked up to see Naruto looking directly at Neji with anger and then at her with eyes of worry that only his blue eyes could produce. Neither of you is going to s here. Hyuga Hinata, out of respect for your courage show here today, I initiate the Preservation of Life Act passed during the 13th Chunin exam by the second Hokage of Konoha. I Gecko Hayat, as the standing Junin proctor of these preliminaries, hereby declare that you are unable to fight. Therefore Hyuga Neji wins by default, said Hayat, stepping in between the two, hoping that it would stop the more tempered Hyuga from destroying the near S1. It didn't. It just made it worse. What is this? You can't do this. You are siding with the main family and the weakest of them all at that. By showing her mercy you have insulted me and my family legacy that is part of the branch family. How can you side with this weak little girl, who doesn't even know how to act like a true Hyuga, said Neji, ignoring the now rising intent that was coming from behind him or the distinct unknown heat that was radiating from the same source as the intent. The source for this was one Kazama Uzumaki Naruto, as his right arm could no longer be restrained by the bandages that were wrapped around it. A dark unholy fire that now had nearly covered around most of his arm, melting the metal he was touching in that specific area, getting a lot of head turners and eye bulges. The bandages on his face covering his mouth tore a little as fangs start to show while he gritted his teeth and his eyes became red-orange with SS for pupils. Screw this. Hinata is in danger and I will not stand by and watch her like this. When I get through with him I will have his eyes put in a jar and mounted on a wall as a sign to all who hurt those precious to me, thought Naruto, as black, blue, and orange-red chakra rose out of his body. This is Naruto. He looks like he's ready to bring hell on earth, and with that power it looks like he's going to do it, thought the Junin and Hokage while Asuma was looking at the boys transforming with his sig long forgotten as it now resided next to his foot. Naruto then let out a demonic sound from his teeth that sounded like a hound from dark recesses of hell itself. Instinctively, he slowly started removing his ninja headband up and sped off the white bandage underneath, getting ready to open a pissed off beyond words Jaganai, feeling its host boss anger. When Naruto got angry so did the Jaganai, and right now both were highly pissed off at this moment. While this was happening Neji ran forward, seeing his opportunity to see SPLE Hinata while everyone was distracted by the boy above. It was quite difficult to move, he found, with his body nearly paralyzed with fear from the king intent and the power that Naruto Uzumaki was generating towards him. In fact, had it not been for his own anger at Hinata, Neji would have been completely unable to move. Goodbye my weak cousin, said Neji, aiming his straightened palm towards her heart ready to end its already slowing movements. He never hit her as all the Junins snapped out of their shocks at seeing Naruto change and stopped Neji from reaching Hinata. You should consider yourself very lucky, Neji, said Hayate, looking at the boy with serious yet tired-looking eyes from his illness. What are you talking about? Luck had nothing to do with my victory or Hinata being saved by all of you Junin here. Don't you see that fate determined this fight before it began and that she was fated to lose from the start, said Neji, only to hear the sound of an unholy beast coming to life. Naruto knew the Junin would intervene when need be, that was a given, and he knew that in his mind, had Neji not said what he said, Hinata would have had him cold. However, at the moment he wasn't thinking with his mind at all as he saw Hinata collapse onto the hard floor. He was thinking with his heart, and right now it is telling him to kill Neji in the most painful ways that had never before been imagined. Naturally, Naruto Wooden was about to do more when Slade came up from behind and restrained him with the help of Hiei. The short fire demon now had his own Jagan eye open and active, using its powers to calm down Naruto's rage to the point that it could at the very least be considered to be in the realm of sanity. Jin, Tuya, and Kurama were also watching, ready to contain Naruto further should he somehow break free. Calm down, Naruto. If you kill him now, you'll never get your shot legally during the final part of the exams, said Slade, completely surprised at the strength his apprentice of a vessel was producing in his rage-induced state. Slade is right, Naruto-san, if you kill the Hyuga boy now, you will become no better than he is. Is that what you want? Said Hiei, generating serenity from his Jaganai, calming down Naruto at a solid rate. With their words seemingly having their intended effect on Naruto, the boy calmed down, and they sensed that his power, along with some of his rage, had decreased to the point of self-control. However, they noticed it was at the limit between that of sanity and that of pure psychotic destruction. Of course, having an enormous amount of chakra in the form of 3 different colors slowly falling down to semi-normal parameters wasn't the only indicator. No. His eyes, both natural and the Jagan, told the story for them all. If you had been paying close attention, Neji, had we not stopped you and those 2 up there on the balcony stopped Uzumaki-san, you would be right now possibly being burned to death, said Guy, standing right behind the boy with a hand still holding his striking arm. In mere moments Naruto was in front of them, standing over Hinata, his rage, intent, and his power still noticeable, but right now he seemed more focused on the figure that was on the ground in pain. Hinata, can you hear me? Said Naruto, holding the side of her face with his right hand, not caring that people could see the dragon on his right arm. Yes, I'm sorry, that I failed. Naruto-kun, said Hinata, coughing up some blood from her mouth as the chakra points that Neji hit with cold and ruthless precision were now attacking her body. No need to be sorry, Hinata. You did your best and I'm proud of you. We will talk later when you are feeling better in the hospital. Hinata nods. Jagan Eye secret art, Serenity healing jutsu, said Naruto, going through some hand size while his Jagan Eye turned into a light bluish green that seemed to make Hinata fall asleep as she gazed. Naruto had learned much under Hiei's guidance, with the Jagan Eye discovering from the fire demon that the Jagan Eye could be used to heal as well as hurt people depending on the situation, person, and the emotions running through him that the eye felt. Naruto at the moment closed both his natural eyes while his unnatural eye was still open, sending a bluish-green aura at Hinata, covering her entire being in its light, with both hands on the last hand sign covered in the same color in chakra form he made for this jutsu. The kid's good. It seems he's mastered his Jagan better than me. I don't know whether to be ashamed or proud of myself, thought Hiei, closing his Jagan Eye and placing a new white headband over it once more. After about 5 minutes, Naruto stopped the technique before putting his head on Hinata's chest to hear her heartbeat, finding it was at a normal pace again. However, he knew she wouldn't be waking up anytime soon due to the beating Neji had given her after that hit of a cheap shot to her, in his opinion, angelic face. Demonic summoning art, Demon Fox summons jutsu, said Naruto after biting his thumb, placed a line of blood over his eyelid, and then slammed his palm down onto the ground. Since when can Naruto use a summoning jutsu, and with Demon Foxes no less? Thought all the Junin and the Hokage before they eyed Slade, who continued to watch with his arms crossed over his chest with his metal mask hiding all if any of his emotions. What Naruto got was not just one Demon Fox with an extra tail or 2. Naruto, using a good chunk of his chakra, summoned just what he wanted to summon, a small army of Demon Foxes. The biggest of them all was red mixed with brown, had 5 tails, and was the size of a very large horse. You called us second master, said the Demon Fox, bowing to Naruto, as did all the other foxes that he summoned that were slightly smaller with 4 or fewer tails. Yes, take Hyuga Hinata, points to Hinata, to the hospital immediately. Get her a room and do what you have to do to make sure she gets treated right away. You are not to take crap from any of the doctors or nurses, and if they try to threaten you, then you threaten back. Lethal force is authorized only as a last resort, should the ninja who are ranked Junin or higher try to attack you. Chunin or lower are to be stunned or CS pled, said Naruto before looking at Kurama, who nodded and started to leave, knowing that he would need to find the girl's father to explain to him what happened. Yes, second master, said the fox demon, picking up the girl gently with its tails and placing the young Hyuga girl on his back, carefully wrapped securely around its tails. Within moments the foxes all went poof and disappeared from sight as if they were never summoned by Naruto. For a moment no one moved from where they were, as they were all staring at the multicolored haired boy, who seemed to be deep in thought. Without a preview or hesitation, Naruto turns on his heel towards Neji and looks him right in the boy's eyes, his Jaganai going from bluish-green serenity to blood-dark red rage. Neji, seeing this third eye along with nearly everyone else, stood there in shock, as none of them now in the room had ever seen such an eye on Naruto before. Even if they had, it was never this clear a feeling of his power as it had been previously. Just what is he? Came the thought of one Hyuga. Neji, finding that the anger Naruto was now generating was practically terrifying beyond reasoning. Instantly, the lights all in the room start dimming on and off rapidly in random order, creating an eerie feeling in the air. Everyone wasn't a demon was getting freaked out by this experience, as it made Naruto look even more terrifying than before. An unnatural wind was blowing all around him as dark energy seemed to appear beneath Naruto, Neji, and the 5 Junin beside the Hyuga. You talk of fate, Hyuga Neji, but you know nothing of what it means to act as an individual person and be your true self. For nearly King Hinata, who is your own cousin, who is your own family, I am going to do something that every Hyuga fears being done to them, whether they are from the main or branch family of your clan. When we face off in the final matches of these Chunin exams, Hyuga Neji, I will have the distinct pleasure and honor of spitting out your eyes. Said Naruto, his final words being purely demonic in both their sound as well as their meaning. What did you say? Said Neji, as Naruto then picked up a small puddle of Hinata's blood in his left hand and covered his face with stays of it, while his right arm was now pulsing where the dark dragon tattoo was. You cannot see the eyes of a demon, Neji. That is, of course, until the demon itself starts calling for your soul. Said Naruto, raising his right arm up at Neji. At the arm burst into a dark flame with the head of a dragon appearing on the palm of his outstretched hand. This alone terrified the group of Junins and the Hokage greatly, as it looked like Naruto was going to K Neji before the third exam, including taking them all with the Hyuga prodigy. However, they soon sighed in relief moments later as Naruto lowered his hand and the dark flames dispersed, showing only the dragon tattoo on his arm. The reason he had stopped from incinerating them all wasn't because he knew they would leap out of the way at the last moment, but an image of a sad Hinata appeared before him at the last minute. In his mind he had become saddened by the brief image he was seeing. He hated to see, much less picture, the girl crying at the death of her cousin, no matter how justified it was in his mind. However, the ever-vengeful look he had on his eyes never had left him at all the entire time. For a moment there, I thought he was going to K them all, thought the Hokage, sighing as his old heart was now beating normally again, while the ever-cleverly disguised Orochimaru in the form of the Sound Genin's Junin teacher looked on at Naruto with great interest. The Uchiha is the prime target, but if my chances with the boy fail, I can always try to grab and brainwash Arashi's son to become my vessel, thought Orochimaru, seeing that the Jaganai was a very interesting sight to behold. In an instant Naruto went from the ground floor to the balcony next to Slade, Hiei, Jin, and Tuya, as if what had just happened didn't. While we're young Proctor, said an angry and irritated Naruto, making everyone snap out of their own mental moments. The next match shall commence, said Gekko Hayate, looking at the screen, as did everyone else in a rather reluctant manner. Arma Tenten vs Subaku no Temari. Auto FN, made up Tenten's last name since she doesn't have one. Finally it's my turn. Though I am a little nervous about winning, considering I could face Naruto in the third exam. The way he used the dark power in that Hyuga girl's name was very scary. He's even scarier than Gaara, and I've known him all my life. Maybe I can show him my power and he will be impressed and think that I am strong as well. Thought Temari looked at her opponent from across the balcony to see who it was she would be fighting. When she did, the wind mistress mentally smirked at the girl across on the other side of her with the scary incident moments before now pushed into the back of her head. The girl named Tenten was a girl that had the figure of your typical female teenager with buns on her head, making her look like a panda bear. Now to show everyone what girl ninjas can do. Maybe I can impress Naruto too and we could go on a date together, thought Tenten, who fought a blush as she pictured her and the mysterious boy a year younger than her on a date, seeing as how it was a time for being serious. She could enjoy her little dream later in private. This will be easy. From the looks of things, she focuses on agility then power, meaning she would probably use his long-range attacks to try and hit me, thought Temari, as she let her mental smirk now appear on her face, knowing with her attacks she could knock her opponent into next week easily. Tenten was thinking along those same lines, with her weapons piercing her opponent like a pincushion or like the training dummies in the backyard of her and father's shop out of house. I hope you're prepared to lose, because when I get through with you, you are going to be a total wreck, said Tenten, standing between on one side of the ground floor with Temari on the other side, smiling her smile at the panda bear looking girl. Funny. I was going to say the same thing about you. Especially since after this is over I'm going to ask Naruto if he wants to go on a date with me after I dedicate this match to him, said Temari, shocking Tenten as she wanted to do that. You can't dedicate this match to him. I'm doing that, yelled an angry Tenten in a very fangirl-like way. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this as he sweat dropped a little, only to realize he recognized Tenten from before. He realized that the weapons mistress was originally one of his fangirl club members a year before when they tried to chase after him. Looks like Tenten's back on the whole club bandwagon again, thought Naruto, wondering just how he should approach this and slightly hoped his frightening power would give him space between him and them. He guessed wrong. Well, you are too late, Bunbun, because I already called it and I am, said Temari, sticking her tongue out at the girl, making Gaara, Kankuro, and Terra sweat drop at the girl's antics, seeing as they didn't befit her. My name is not Bun, it's Ten, yelled Tenten, as she growled with fire coming out of her eyes in a very Ino and Sakura-like fashion as Naruto looked at the two competitors and mentally hit himself for his problems with the opposite S. Oh no, not Temari too. Man, as Shikamaru would say, this has become troublesome. I guess being a Naruto fangirl has the power to be contagious, thought Naruto, whose head slumped down anime style, wondering just how far the disease had spread among all the female populace in Konoha. All right, Tenten vs Temari. Ready. Begin. Said Hayat, bring his right arm and hand down as Tenten drew weapons and Temari opened up her fan for battle. I'll teach you to make fun of me and my hair, you meaty looking bimbo, said Tenten, bringing out her weapons while the girl from Suna closed her eyes and her right eyebrow twitched at her words. Okay, I was going to go easy on you for Naruto-kun sake, but now I'm just going to kick your panda bear looking ass. Wind Scythe Jutsu, said Temari, swinging her iron fan at Tenten, knocking her back several feet, cutting up her clothing and skin pretty badly. Panda bear. At least I look better with someone with wide hips, said Tenten, launching kunai, shuriken, and various other weapons from her weapon holders she had on. Temari knocked him away with her wind scythe jutsu like they were nothing, smirking at the now frustrated girl ninja in front of her. At least I have hips that I can wiggle to make Naruto notice me. Your body has absolutely no hip at all, so it's only fair to say that you will never be able to get Naruto's attention no matter how hard you try to wiggle it for him, said Temari, winking at Naruto, making the said boy blush beyond his bandaged face that still, despite it being damaged, was able to keep it hidden. How and why do I attract all these women to me in the most absurd way I will never know, thought Naruto, seeing some of the male shinobi in the room look at him with envy of getting so many of their female ninja comrades to flock to him. All the while the female half that consisted of Haku and Ino looked on at Temari with jealousy and seething anger at how she was getting Naruto's attention. If only I could K her and make it look like S, thought Haku, as she started calculating a way to K the blonde-haired girl on the battleground below. You shut up, you wide hipped slut. Rising twin dragons, said Tenten, leaping into the air and releases scrolls that she then launches weapons from of all different forms down upon Temari. You really think that will best me in a fight? Dream on, hipless wonder. Wind Scythe Jutsu, said Temari as she just knocked the volley of weapons away from her like they were nothing. If this is my dream, then it's your nightmare, hippo hip whore, said Tenten, using strings attack to her weapons, bring them back to her before throwing them at Temari one more time. Are all females that like Naruto like this Shikamaru? Said Terra, as she found this sight strangely familiar with Raven, Blackfire, and Starfire fighting over the Teen Tian leader that was Robin. Granted, it had happened after she was turned to stone by her own powers while betraying Slade, but she heard what happened from Beast Boy, in very interesting detail. During her amnesia-like state, the animal shapeshifter explained about how Starfire's big sister Blackfire came to Earth after she was exiled from her home world. The team apparently learned that the older of the two aliens had tired to do away with the younger so she could bring the boy wonder to her to marry for her own. Naturally, Raven and Starfire did not like that when the team had confronted Blackfire a week upon her arrival. It had turned into a TSLE threat dance of death, with Robin being the prize for the victor of their love war. Long story short, Raven won using all of her emotions that had also fallen in love with the Tan's leader. Beast Boy's description of it being the war to end all wars with black energy made things quite clear. Of course, it could have been even better had Robin tried to explain to them that he liked Raven, Starfire, and Blackfire already and there was no need for the fighting. But that is another story for another time. Terra was it. Terra nods, trust me Terra, you have no troublesome idea. Naruto's got more girls after him than Shinobi have weapons to use, said Shikamaru, keeping one eye on Naruto while dividing his other eyesight on Terra and Gaara in case the boy decides to hurt him for being so close to the blonde-haired girl. You break Terra's heart, Nara-san, and I'll break your body, slowly, said Gaara, looking at the lazy boy with eyes that promised pain should Shikamaru do something stupid. Wouldn't dream of it, said Shikamaru in his lazy, but scared voice that used only for his mother, and was glad she wasn't here or she would say the same thing to him. Is this all you can do? Wind Scythe Jutsu, said Temari, blowing the weapons back at Tenten, cutting her up even more with her wind attack along with her opponent's own weapons, knocking the Chinese bun-haired girl to the ground, hard. It wasn't as bad as Temari could have made it, seeing how she could have used her big iron fan to nearly break the other girl's back. Tenten is unable to continue. The winner of this match is Temari, said Hayat, raising his hand towards Temari. The blonde-haired girl bowed ever so gracefully with her fan towards Naruto, winking in the end, earning a blush from him and death glares from the other females, with the clear exception being Sakura. I'm glad Hinata's not here to see that she might have joined in with them. Though she'll probably hear about it sooner or later when she wakes up in the hospital while she's recovering, thought Naruto, mentally sighing at how his love life was getting more and more complicated. All the more reason to see her after these preliminaries, Naruto-kun, said Dragona in his mind, making him grimace even more, knowing Hinata was not going to like more compassion other than just Haku. Not that Naruto minded, just as long as it was kept in the realm of discretion and that of non-violence. By the time the medic ninjas had taken Tenten away for treatment, along with Temari wiggling her behind at Naruto as she walked towards and up the stairs, making him blush again, the screen had gone into random names once more. Oh man, I hope I get someone I can win against to make it to the third exam. Okay, let's see. The only people left to fight are the big fat kid from Nara's team, the guy with the makeup on the sand team, and the kid with the gourd on his back who is also on the sand team. Please be the fat kid. Please be the fat kid, said Kiba, mentally pleading to the dog god for help. Unfortunately for him, the dog god was out to lunch gnawing on a T-bone steak, too hungry to hear the dog use his please. Inuzuka Kiba vs Subaku no Gaara. Crap, yelled Kiba, making everyone on his balcony and from across look at him before he realized he said what he thought out loud. Idiot, thought Naruto while Choji was quietly saying thank you to the big-boned god for distracting the dog god with the T-bone steak. Whoops, did I say that out loud? Said Kiba sheepishly, making everyone sweat drop before Gaara disappeared and reappeared onto what looked like a battleground of the floor below. While we're young Fleabag, said Gaara, cricking his N left and right, slightly anxious to get into the fight. Maybe I should forfeit, thought Kiba, but before he could think any further along those lines, Shino in a stealthy manner pushed Kiba over the railing and onto the ground, making everyone think he leaned over too far and fell over by accident. Well, to those who didn't see it anyway. Nice Shino. I see some of my pranking habits I left with Konohamaru Core is rubbing off on you as well. I knew entrusting those three to paint the Hokage monument was a good idea while I was taking the exam, thought Naruto as he had seen the three starting in washing it off when he was heading for the Forest of Death after the written first part of the exam was over. Granted, it was not the best image of Konoha when holding an event such as this, but at least no one would deny the trio's creativity in the design of it all. But as with the last one, that story is for another time. Okay, Gaara vs Kiba. Ready. Begin. Said Hayate, leaping farther back, knowing from being informed by the Hokage that Gaara was one mean powerhouse like Naruto. It was soon proven when the cork on Gaara's gourd popped off and the sand it contained came out directly at Kiba while the red-haired boy's hands were crossed over his arms. Kiba gulped as he looked at the thick sand and wondered if it was not too late to forfeit again before he got his butt handed to him. I'm in trouble, thought Kiba as he never got the chance to even speak the 3 words that he so wanted to say. As Akamaru got off of Kiba's head, at that very moment Gaara's sand wrapped around Kiba and threw him into a nearby wall with the sand still bound to his legs. Uzumaki-san, I hope you don't mind I hurt your friend here. From my understanding he comes from a great clan and I wish to see what he can do, said Gaara looking at Naruto with a small smirk on his face, almost as if there was a hidden meaning behind their little conversation. Go for it. Just make sure that when you're done you make sure they send him to the vet, not the hospital, said Naruto as he leaned on the railing watching the fight. Go Gaara! Yelled Terra, making Gaara sweat drop a little as he threw Kiba across the room until the dog user skidded across the floor. Kiba, using his animal-like grace, leaped up off the moving ground he was on and got back onto his own 2 feet. Alright, so you want to play rough, huh? Come on Akamaru, let's make our family proud. Man-beast combination transformation, double-headed wolf, said Kiba, as his somewhat loyal dog came over to him and the two formed into a giant 2-headed wolf. Impressive, Inuzuka-san. You are indeed a credit to your clan. However, such a beast is nothing compared to me, said Gaara, turning his now hovering sand into multiple large spiky balls before using his mind to mentally throw them at the white-furred creation. The 2-headed wolf that was the combination of both Kiba and his canine companion dodged some of the projectiles with what movement they could spare in their current surroundings. Unfortunately, the ones that did hit the creature got the stomach, hind legs, front legs, and one of the 2 wolves' heads, making the animal look like a big bloody mess. Eventually the beast of a transformation could no longer be contained and the 2 sides that made it up split apart, revealing a messed up Kiba and a little worse for wear Akamaru. Inuzuka, Kiba is unable to battle, the winner is Gaara of the Sand, said Hayate, raising his arm in Gaara's direction. The red-haired boy bowed to the instructor, nodded to Naruto, who nodded back, and looked at Sakura for a moment before walking up the steps once more. When he reached the top he looked at Terra, who was smirking a devil's smirk at him. Apparently, like Naruto, she had noticed the look he gave to Sakura, who was looking back at him with curiosity as to why he looked at her. So Gaara, you've finally found yourself a girlfriend, I see, said Terra, raising her eyebrows up at him several times, making him turn his head to the right slightly as if confused. Girlfriend. I know the concept of what you are referring to, but I don't understand your meaning of it, said Gaara, as he had never had a girl take any interest in him back in Suna due to Shukaku, or rather Terra, being inside of him when she was an insane sand raccoon. Never mind, we'll talk about this later. Right now the next match is going to start, said Terra, grabbing onto Shikamaru, who was now trying to sneak away only to be glomped onto by the blonde. Remind me again why I have to stay with you, said Shikamaru, wishing he could just melt into his shadow and reappear on the other side before the next fight started. Because if you don't, ice your bones to powder with boulders that are twice your height and width, said Terra with a look in her eyes that reminded the lazy Nara of how his mother got when his dad didn't want to do any troublesome work. I'm glad I'm too afraid to move right now, said Shikamaru, turning his attention to the screen, knowing it was clear who was next from the process of elimination. Akamaiki Choji vs Subaku no Kankuro. Alright, now it's my turn to rock, yelled Choji, seeing how he had become impatient and waiting for his turn to fight. Great, everyone else gets potential fighters and I get this fat tub of lard, said Kankuro before walking down the flight of stairs, not realizing he said the one taboo word that makes Choji mad. I'm not fat, I'm big-boned, yelled Choji, now on the floor with an angry fire in his eyes with the desire to pummel his opponent into the ground. Kankuro, you stupid idiot, don't you know that people like this kid from his clan that are plump hate being called that word? Now you're going to get your ass handed to you, said Temari, from what she had heard of Konoha's clans from her father when he went to visit he third in the past. Oh, I think I am in trouble, thought Kankuro, as he now remembered what his father had said about the specifics of Akamaki clan and how when they get angry when you say they're taboo they stomp you until you're flatter than the pancakes they eat. Choji vs Kankuro. Ready. Begin, said Hayate, as he brought his hand down before leaping really far away from the two, knowing what Choji would use in this fight. Expansion Jutsu, yelled Choji as he suddenly increased his size like a giant balloon, scaring Kankuro almost immediately. And I thought he was big before, thought Kankuro, pulling out his puppet only to leap back with his weapon of choice still in hand as Choji prepared to use another attack. Leaf-style taijutsu, human boulder jutsu, said Choji, pulling in his arms and legs before spinning at a very high rate before charging at Kankuro, who found himself running for his life. Kankuro, you big chicken, do something, said Terra, shaking her fist in the air, seeing the two going in circles in a rather unshinobi-like way. That's easy for you to say, you have the power over the ground while I have my puppet in hand, said Kankuro, trying to think of a way out of this before he resembled food that the Akamaki ate in abundance for breakfast. Man, Terra, watching Choji and that puppet dude go in circles is making me dizzy, said Shikamaru, following the circle with his head moving with the two on the ground floor. Terra could only laugh at that, though she had to agree with the lazy Nara on this on. I'm going to run you over for calling me fat, you makeup wearing weirdo, said Choji through his rolling despite he himself was now getting dizzy. Finally, Kankuro broke the circle of running and went straight for the one wall below the balcony with Naruto and the others. Can we talk about this? Said Kankuro quickly as he tried to open up his puppet while he had time. No, yelled Choji, coming straight for the sand kid and his little puppet toy. Suddenly Kankuro smirked and threw his puppet to the far right moments before the huge impact Choji made into the wall, crushing Kankuro with him. Ouch. That had to hurt, thought Naruto, hearing the crash below the balcony while noticing some of the others were wicking from the sound of the crash as well. I won. I feel sleepy, thought Choji as he smiled from within his body, feeling that he had won, only to find himself rather tired and fell asleep, not realizing he had been defeated by Kankuro. Never underestimate the power of a puppet master, said Kankuro, now rising from the bandages that everyone thought were to hold Kankuro's puppet, not realizing that it was Kankuro himself. Soon everyone heard Choji snoring rather loudly in his large state, echoing his snores for all to hear, making some of the others sweat drop. How can Choji be asleep at this very moment? Thought Asuma, Shikamaru, and Ino. What you all thought was me was really my puppet being controlled with chakra strings, and when the big guy here rammed into him he was secretly breathing in enough knockout gas to make him go to sleep for some time, said Kankuro, though he was a little upset inside because he now had to take what was left, if there was any left, and fix it up again along with making new puppets for the third exam. That's good enough for me. The winner of the final match is Kankuro, said Hayate, raising his hand towards the boy as Naruto appeared next to Choji, carefully rolling him back out of the large imprint in the wall. Man, with that knockout gas I could sleep on end and no one could wake me up. I got to have some of that, said Shikamaru, only to get hit in the head by Terra with her eyes now completely sinister yellow. Try it and I'll bury you alive in the Suna desert sands where all the storms there are all consuming, said Terra, shaking her fist at Shikamaru, making him cower his fear of her like he and his dad did with his mother when she got angry in a very similar fashion. The preliminaries of the Chunin exams have officially ended. Now if all of our genin competitors would come down to the ground floor, we will be able to proceed to instruct you on what is to happen for the third part of the Chunin exams, said Sarutobi, who was glad that the preliminaries were over, knowing that the true test would begin. Hyuga Estate at the moment. Hiyashi had just come from a clan meeting with HTHE elders, revealing to them he knew it was Hitome, who put the seal on Naruto's N at their request. It sickened him even more than what they used to bargain with her in exchange for her to do a thing. Hitome, I will never hate for what you did and never can, for you did what was necessary to save the boy all those years ago. If anyone deserved to be his surrogate mother it was most certainly you, thought Hiyashi as he made his way out of the Hyuga clan council room. When they learned that Hinata removed it they were absolutely furious and called for his oldest daughter to become a member of the branch family with the cage bird seal to be traditionally branded on her and then used as punishment. When Hiyashi told them that if they even considered that ever again he would inform the Hokage of such things. That along with the fact that they had tried to go against the fourth Hokage's S wish and the third Hokage's S class law. Needless to say they were madder than hornets over a destroyed nest, but nonetheless they had no choice, but to agree. It wasn't long after a branch family servant came and told the clan head that a visitor, male, and with long red hair needed to see him in regards to his older daughter Hinata. When Hiashi heard that, he couldn't remember the last time he moved so fast unless it was when he saved Hinata from the Cloud Ninja. The same ninja he killed that created a deep infesting wound amongst the main and branch families. Hiashi soon found the man the servant described to him standing in the waiting area of the compound with his hands behind his back in a manner much similar to Slade. Our Lord Hiashi, I assume. My name is Kurama, said Kurama bowing his head in respect to the man. You assume correct, Kurama-san. Please tell me what happened to my daughter. Is she all right? Said Hiashi, concern evident in his voice that he had not had in it since she was still an infant. There are some things that you need to be aware of that occurred during Hinata's fight in the preliminaries against her cousin Neji. Hiashi winced. We should not talk of it here as there are too many eyes and ears watching us. It would be best if we go see Hinata in the hospital so we can talk with her about it since it involves her as well, said Kurama gesturing to the door so they could continue. Very well. Let's go then, said Hiashi without another word, walked with Kurama to the hospital knowing there were going to be a lot of explaining to do to his daughter and eventually Naruto himself. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.